Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. What's happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He is the co-host. His name is Padawan J.
Hey, shout out to J.R. Smith. He might not be as boneheaded as some people like to believe. The man went back to college, just got his grades in for this semester, 4.0 GPA.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah, shout out to him.
Shout out.
Yeah, 4.0 in college these days ain't easy.
Definitely not. So congratulations to him on that. And you know, if you're listening to this edition, we are definitely talking some sports because that's what we do here at the ODPH, and we definitely want to interact with you. So make sure to swing on over to odphpodcast.com. Join in the conversation on all our social media accounts. We're right there. We interact with everybody. Parlay Points, the blog section of the show, which definitely is a benefit if you're listening to us in 607 TWS. The T Public Store. If you need a gift for this holiday season, what better way to support the podcast and definitely get somebody some cool swag than check out the T Public Store. Pad, am I right?
You are very right.
All that, so much more. ODPHpodcast.com, and definitely use the hashtag ODPHpod on social media. So kicking off the sports edition of the ODPH, we have to recap the week that was in the NFL. It's locks and leaps time. So Pad, let's kick it off.
Yeah, so starting with my lock, I chose the Seattle Seahawks to defeat the Houston Texans, which they did handedly by the final score of 33-13. Russell Wilson, 17 of 28 for 260 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then on the flip side, you had Davis Mills go 33 of 49 for 331 yards passing, and just 1 touchdown and no interceptions.
In the words of Nate Diaz, I'm not surprised. Seattle is a better team than the record portrays.
Yes.
Obviously, injuries have haunted them this entire season. When you lose Russell Wilson for a good stretch of time, that is going to cripple your team.
Yes.
He's that good. He can make an average team a great one. Now we're kind of seeing him back in the swing of things. And obviously Houston, I'm trying to find nice words. It's the holiday season.
Yeah.
I mean, they showed up.
Yeah.
They scored 7 in the first quarter. So not really too much to write about because that team is just abysmal as
Davis
it goes.
Mills had a good performance. I mean, I got to admit, I did not know who he was. He was a third-round draft pick this year out of Stanford for the Houston Texans. For being a rookie, 331 yards against the Seahawks ain't bad.
No, definitely not bad at all. But Seattle is the better team, and they showed it off.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing because Houston is struggling just to get the offseason. They just got to implode that team and just start over. But for Seattle, this was a solid win and something obviously to build from going into their offseason endeavors because playoffs, they're just not going to make it. It's just not in the cards this year.
Mathematically, they're not eliminated, but like you look at it on paper and you go, yeah, they're not going to make it.
No, it's too much too late. That's the problem.
Yeah, because right now the only teams in the entire NFL that are eliminated are the Jets, Texans, Jaguars, and Lions. Yeah. So Seattle, mathematically not eliminated, but they're 5-8 and in last place in the NFC West. So theoretically, they're eliminated.
Yeah, theoretically, they're out and just doing the eye test. With considering how tough the NFC West is.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
And even the NFC North to a degree. I mean, Minnesota is struggling to hang on, but they're still in the contention talk. The NFC least, we don't have anything nice to say about except Dallas. So, that's kind of a wash there. And the NFC South is what the NFC South is. So Seattle, just something to build off of going into the final stretch of the season. And with Russell Wilson, a lot of trade talk in the offseason involving him. Pat, do you really buy into this?
I mean, I understand it, just where Seattle is. They're not, and I get injuries have been a thing this year, but they're not up to the same standard they were now. So maybe it is time to start looking forward and looking at building for the future and kind of getting ready for that time of when Russell won't be there and better to get your value, better to get your value now while the commodity is hot before the proverbial wheels fall off and you won't get anything for him. Right now, Russell Wilson will get a shitload of draft picks to give up for him, and Lord knows how many players and money and everything else will be involved. If, God forbid, if you wait a year, 2 years, 3 years, the same might not be said for then. So I don't fault Seattle's front office for exploring the possibility just to see what they can get and put the feelers out there. So it doesn't entirely surprise me.
It doesn't surprise me that much. I mean, obviously Wilson has done great work out in Seattle.
Yeah.
Made them a perennial playoff team.
Mm-hmm. Household name outside of, hey, that's the team I beat in Madden every week.
Exactly. So if Seattle wants to explore this option, obviously at this stage of his career, it's not a bad one to take a look at and at least entertain. I don't think you're going to have a toxic situation like you do in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers in their front office. So this one is just something I think that if he has been lightly hinting at, which we've had little inklings here and there, that he wouldn't mind leaving, but he's not asking to go either. Because Seattle is in a very weird transitional phase. I mean, obviously Russell has been very public about that he wants some help on the team.
Yeah, that wouldn't hurt.
And obviously, we all know that offensive line
Hey.
is atrocious.
Yay.
The running game has never existed, even though Rashad Penny did have 137 yards. But then again, we have to remember, it's the Texans.
Yeah, and it's also been a running back by committee for the entire season for Seattle. Mm-hmm. And they really haven't had a solid, I know they've had Carson, the last couple of years, but have they really had a consistent running back since Marshawn?
No, I mean, that's the question. I don't think you can say so. I mean, Seattle has always had some great running backs there, Sean Alexander, Marshawn Lynch, but they've been really missing that key element of that offense, which that is a big staple of Pete Carroll's offense schemes. So, when you don't have that running game, a lot is asked on your quarterback, but that shows how good Russell is. And that's why looking at this offseason, which we know Pittsburgh is going to be in that conversation, the New York Football Giants are going to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
It's something that Seattle at least has to explore.
Yeah.
But this is not something to hit the panic button and to really put a lot of fear in Seattle fans right now.
No, I think it's just Russell saying, hey, if you want to do it, I'm all right with it.
Yeah, and I think at this stage, the players understand it's a business. Once you start becoming a professional whatever, you are in a business. It goes away from being a sport. It's your everyday job.
Mm-hmm.
Things are different on that side of the desk. So it's something that he knows is coming up, and obviously looking at their schedule coming in the offseason, trying to finish this season out on a strong note is what he's going to be looking to do.
Yeah, and their next couple of games, they've got the LA Rams coming up this week. Then they've got the Bears, Lions, and Cardinals.
Oh, my. So that being said, it's going to be a little tough stretch for him, but this is also proven for the offseason moves, and that's something Seattle definitely wants to put an exclamation on. Houston just wants to get through the end of the season.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything we really got to discuss about them. Just hopefully everybody gets through injury-free. And then they have got arguably the most work to do this offseason. And whatever you're doing with Deshaun Watson.
They need a head coach. They need an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, quarterback, offensive line, receiving core, tight end, running back, defense. They need a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very unique, to put it mildly, offseason for the Texans.
I think they even need a kicker.
They need lots. That's the easiest way to say it.
Yeah.
They just need
They got
lots.
a big laundry list.
Oh, it is, and I definitely don't want to be responsible for that, Bill. I'd rather go talk about what was going on with your leap.
Yeah, so my leap was the Baltimore Ravens over the Cleveland Browns because I figured, hey, Cleveland's not going to, or Baltimore's not going to, lose 2 in a row. I think they'll be able to bounce back. And, they almost did. Were it not for an injury, they might have pulled it off because Cleveland won by the final score of 24-22. Baker Mayfield went 22 of 32 for 190 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Lamar Jackson only went 4 of 4 for 17 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions because he went down with an injury. He was carted off. So you had Tyler Huntley take over and lead the team to 27 of 38 for 270 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Yo.
I don't know if this is a case of a Ravens team that is really good that they hung in this game, or the Browns pulling one over on Baltimore, because you'd figure with Lamar Jackson out, this game should have been lopsided towards Cleveland. Even though it's division, we have to remember that. But I think they got one over on them because Baltimore almost won this with their backup.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the box score. At halftime, it was 24-6 in favor of Cleveland. And Cleveland got shut out the entire second half, whereas Baltimore put up 16 points. So I think this is a case of Cleveland not taking Baltimore seriously just because Lamar's not there. You know, you've got Tyler Huntley, who is he's a rookie out of Utah. You know, he's only 23 years old, you know, so this is probably his first, you know, game action that we've seen, you know, outside of garbage time.
Yeah.
You know, so I think this is a case of Cleveland didn't take him seriously. They're like, oh, Lamar's gone. Oh, we know this guy ain't nothing. We can take this lightly. We can ease up on this. We don't got to worry about, oh, shit, the score's almost tied. We got to turn it back on.
It's the one thing about the NFL that I know it's cliche at this stage, but any given Sunday, anything can happen.
Uh-huh.
And I think that for the teams that think they can just completely turn it on and just run over a weakened team,
Yeah.
they're finding there's more parity in the league than they originally planned.
Yeah, this is why you see a lot of teams, especially the great teams, that if they happen to be running up the score or have a big margin on that game, they won't pull the starting quarterback or some of the starters until it's absolutely guaranteed that the other team ain't going to come back.
Exactly, because you never know what's going to happen. And that's why I say Baltimore almost pulled one off on them. And that's the thing, that they were very gritty. And obviously this is a long-storied rivalry too.
Yeah.
You knew both teams were going to show up for this. You know it was going to be hard-hitting. It definitely was.
Oh, yeah.
But for Baltimore, I would feel, I don't want to say this was a good loss, but at least you know that you could hang with a contender with your backup. Now, obviously, we're not sure as we're recording what the status is going to be with Lamar Jackson.
Last I heard was that the plan outside of anything changing was for him to play.
Okay. So tentatively, he should be back. So this should get Baltimore back on its usual routine.
Yeah.
If not, Huntley looks serviceable.
Yeah.
And especially against the Browns team, which on paper should be a lot better. But let's face it, once you get on that Sunday field, anything goes. And they definitely were not shutting anybody down. Their defense did look great, though. Myles Garrett had a day.
Oh, yeah.
But overall, Cleveland, this is one thing that you never know what you're going to get with them. I don't want to say they're like on that Atlanta level where you don't, like, you legitimately don't know what team's going to show up.
I think in that case it's a Chargers level.
Yeah, I'd say you're closer to the Chargers level on this one. Baker Mayfield had a very serviceable game.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, $190, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's not bad.
Right, but this was a win for him and that team that desperately needed it, because now the AFC playoff race is getting all types of jumbled up.
Yeah, I will say I think this is a bad loss for Cleveland just because once Lamar left the game, it should have been over. Mm-hmm. And I would say this is a good loss for Baltimore because Lamar is a very dynamic player. He makes a lot happen with his legs and his arms. But not having him there and having this result shows you, hey, Lamar does a lot for you, but you got a real solid team outside of him that you can hang with a team when your dynamic starting quarterback isn't in the game.
Yeah, it's just something that Cleveland, like I said, they almost had one pulled off, the big surprise on them.
Yeah.
That if you're not ready, this is what gets you bounced in the playoffs first round.
Yeah.
And for Cleveland, who still has a good chance about making it, but they're going to need a lot of help.
It's the AFC North. Nobody wants to win this goddamn thing.
Exactly.
Because the first place in this division changes on the weekly.
But it goes to show, even with Pittsburgh in that mix too, how solid each team is.
Yeah.
Like we talked about in the preview episode of the season, Cincinnati was going to be a surprise for everybody as long as they stayed healthy.
Yeah.
Cleveland should be a lot better than they are statistically, but listen, coaching issues and player issues.
Yeah.
And you haven't had that consistency. Baltimore, we knew was going to be solid. Even at 8-5, you still got to like their chances about making some noise when they get the postseason.
Yeah, so you got Baltimore 8-5, Cleveland 7-6, Cincinnati 7-6, and then you got Pittsburgh 8-6-1. And then looking at the AFC playoff standings, you've got there they are, Baltimore in 4th place because hey, they're a division leader. Mm-hmm. Cleveland is in the 8th spot. Cincinnati's in the 9th spot. Cleveland is in the 8th spot because they win the tiebreaker over Denver based on head-to-head win percentage. And the division tiebreak was initially used to eliminate Cincinnati. Cleveland wins the tiebreak over Cincinnati based on head-to-head win percentage. And then you've got Pittsburgh right there. Like, hey, they're 6-6-1. And they have a record, and they're in the 11th spot.
Well, that being said, you know how tough this division is. I mean, Pittsburgh, yeah, they're done. We don't even have to worry about them. But they're still going to scrap every game.
Yeah.
That's what Steelers football is.
Uh-huh.
But for the Ravens and Browns, every game is really going to be amplified that much more going into this playoff season.
Neither of them have an easy remaining schedule. Holy fuck.
Break it down.
Cleveland has the Vegas Raiders at home this coming weekend, and then they go up to Green Bay to play the Packers on Christmas Day. After that, they travel out to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers, week 17. And then week 18, they finish at home against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ew.
Then you've got Baltimore, who this coming Sunday are at home against the Green Bay Packers. Then they travel out to Cincinnati to play the Bengals in week 16. Week 17, they're at home against the Rams. And then week 18, they're at home against the Steelers.
That is a brutal stretch.
Yikes.
For both. The AFC North is going to be up for grabs, so that's why games like this mean so much.
I'm going to pull up Cincy's schedule. So you could, honest to God, you could see Cincy sneak through this and win the division. Let me pull up there. Oh, crap. Oh, Jesus. This is going to get real interesting because Cincy's remaining 4 games are, their next week, they're at Denver. Then the week after that, they have 2 back-to-back home games, one against Baltimore, the other against Kansas City. And then their last game of the season is in Cleveland.
That could be very interesting. That could be very interesting for their playoff hopes. As long as they stay healthy, they have a very, very good chance. But they're starting to get a little banged up. That's the only thing that would worry me as a Bengals fan right now.
Yeah.
Because once they start having the injury bug hit them, as bad as it has the past few years, the chances of them getting into the playoffs are going to be tight. They're going to be tight. But it's not unheard of.
No.
But especially for the battle that is the AFC North. I mean, it's anybody's guess right now. Baltimore, you got to be feeling pretty good about this. Even with a loss.
Yeah, it's a good loss.
It's a good loss because you hung with a team that outright should have beat you.
Oh, yeah.
This is a bad win for Cleveland, but it's still a win nevertheless. And then, as they're going to be moving forward, too, they got to face those Raiders.
Yeah.
Which is, they're going to come in with a chip on their shoulder. I figured that they might have had a little something in the tank for Kansas City, but unfortunately I was wrong. So for my leap this week, this was not good. Pat, you want to break it down?
Yeah, so Kansas City won by the final score of 48-9. Patrick Mahomes went 20 of 24 for 258 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Derek Carr, 33 of 45 for 263 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
All right, so Pat, let me ask you this because I heard this all over sports talk radio past couple days.
Yeah.
Is Kansas City back and your Super Bowl favorite from the AFC?
They're getting there. They're not necessarily the dynamic, drop points on you at any point in the game and, looking real sexy. Okay, they've put up 40-something points on the Raiders twice. That's great, but, they're not doing it on a week-to-week basis. They're looking better than they did. Are they my pick to get to the Super Bowl? No. I think there's a couple of teams in the AFC that were they to go up against them and have to travel into their stadiums because right now, Kansas, I think if you got far enough in the playoffs, Kansas City wouldn't have a home game. And to my recollection, I don't think Patrick Mahomes has played a road game in the playoffs in his career. I think the one time Kansas City made it there was with was in Foxborough, was with Alex Smith. After every time in the playoffs after that, it's been Patrick Mahomes, and it's been a home game. So I think if you get Patrick Mahomes out of the comfort of Arrowhead and into someplace, Foxborough in fucking January, middle of January, I don't know if he can do it. Just because it's a whole different animal. So they're on their way back and they're looking better than they did. But they're not my new pick to get to the Super Bowl.
They are not my pick to get to the Super Bowl. They definitely showed up for this game and being a rivalry game, and especially one thing I did not notice before, the Raiders went out to the 50-yard line before the game and had a huddle.
Oh, yeah.
Now knowing that and watching how the Chiefs came out swinging in that first quarter, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And obviously, the Raiders have struggled since John Gruden has left the team. This is a completely different team than we saw coming out at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, like you said, the Raiders had a huddle at midfield on the Chiefs logo prior to the game. And I saw something on Twitter, and I can't remember the exact quotage, but they didn't make it back to said logo until after halftime.
It was insane to see just what Kansas City was implementing in this.
Yeah.
And especially for the Raiders, I got to agree with what Rich from 3FN is always saying, too. Derek Carr is not the guy.
No.
He has shown, we always throw in the phrase flashes of brilliance.
Yeah.
He might be the king of them.
Yeah.
Because when he shows up in balls, he is good.
Yeah.
But my God, he looked lost out there in this game.
Yeah.
Granted, his line was not giving him a ton of help. Josh Jacobs was having some issues too. This was not the Raiders team that we saw that hung with them all last year and really was the force to be reckoned with at the beginning of this year.
So he had no trouble finding Hunter Renfrow, 13 catches, 117 yards. But everybody else, it's like you stuck him in the middle of an open field and he couldn't throw to him. You know, Josh Jacobs only had 5 catches. Zay Jones, 5 catches. Brian Edwards, 2 catches. Deshaun Jackson, 1 catch. Peyton Barber, 2 catches. Foster Moreau, 3 catches. Trey Regas, 2 catches. Like, Hunter Renfrow's great and all, but you can't throw to him all day.
Renfrow is the diamond in the rough on this team.
Yeah.
I've seen them play numerous times. He is like that Cole Beasley type.
Yeah.
He will get open when you need him, much like your guy Edelman. He is that guy for the Raiders. He's great. And if he was actually on a team that had a little better quarterback play consistently, he'd be putting up Cooper Kupp numbers. Mark my words. But with the Raiders, it's just so polarizing to watch them because when they're good, and they should be able to contend. But this one, Kansas City just came out swinging, got the jump on them, obviously from a fumble, ran back like within the first minute of the game.
Yeah.
When they set the tone, it was tough to come back from. I didn't really see, though, Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes of old, though. Yeah. And that's the one takeaway I'm going to say from this. This is a great win for Kansas City. Don't get me wrong. They definitely implemented their will. This Raiders team is not the same Raiders team, though, that we've seen.
No.
But I would not crown Kansas City the Super Bowl AFC representative just yet.
No.
I'm not there with them. I thought they did what every good team does against a bad team, and that's beat them, and beat them pretty well.
Yeah.
Granted, there was a little more incentive after the huddle dance.
Yeah.
But they got the job done. But I did not really look at this team and go, man, this is the offensive juggernaut that everybody was fearing was going to come back. I mean, the Raiders did keep Tyreek Hill in check under 100 yards.
Yeah.
And they definitely shut down Travis Kelce.
Oh, yeah, Travis Kelce, 3 catches, 27 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he was only targeted 4 times.
But still, I mean, for Patrick Mahomes, that's his 2 go-tos.
Yeah.
If you hold them underneath 100 yards, you should win that game outright.
Well, and I know everyone's talking about Josh Gordon getting a touchdown, which, hey, great, but 2 catches, 9 yards.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't.
Hey, it's a feel-good story that the man came back for, like, the 9th time and caught a touchdown pass from Patrick Mahomes. But, like, hey, it's Patrick Mahomes. I could run a route in the NFL and he could throw me a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
You know, but 2 catches, 9 yards. You know, like I said, they're on their way and they're looking better than they did. But am I ready to sit there and go, that's my team. That's the AFC reps? No.
No, I definitely see him facing a tougher team like Baltimore or even Tennessee.
Or even New England.
Or New England, too. Having a real tough time with them. I really do. I think that their defenses will give Patrick Mahomes some fits. And I don't think that this is the same old Mahomes that was surprising everybody with the behind-the-back passes and whatever. Can't do that in the playoff against a Belichick team.
I'll say the other thing we got to remember, too, is Patriots haven't played the Chiefs this year. They won't play the Chiefs this year. Played them last year. Held them in check till, like, halftime. I forget what it was. That was with 9 or 10 of our defensive starters sitting out the year because of COVID. That we held them in check until about halftime. And I remember sitting there watching that game because I think it was a Sunday night game. And I'm like, you have to score. You can only keep Mahomes contained for so long. And they didn't. But with the offense the New England Patriots have now, and the defense is what it is, that is what it is. And as good as they are, with all of their defensive starters back, you know, and as well as they're playing, they would give Kansas City fits in New England in January.
I'll give you a point spread. I take the Pats with 7.
I'd take that.
I'd take them 7 outright if they were going to match up today. That's how confident I feel about the Patriots beating Kansas City. Because I'm sorry, I thought this is a good win. Yeah. And obviously 48 points. I know it's a blowout. It's a bad team. Yeah, exactly. It's against a bad team. I still haven't seen this quality play against playoff contenders.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, the Raiders are not. At this stage, they are not. I hate saying this, but it's a whole different team.
I'll say, because I'm looking at their schedule of the teams that are in playoff contention right now. They beat Cleveland. Cleveland's still technically in playoff contention. Lost to Baltimore. Lost to the Chargers. Lost to Buffalo. Lost to Tennessee. They beat Green Bay, although asterisk that
without Aaron Rodgers.
Without Aaron Rodgers. They beat Dallas, which, hey, congratulations. You know, so you got not a good record there.
3-4 against the playoff teams. That's the way I count it.
Yeah.
And 2 of them were with asterisks, too, the wins.
Yeah.
So you have to throw that all together, and that's why I say, for everybody that's screaming it's going to be Kansas City versus Tampa Bay against in the Super Bowl, pump the brakes just a little bit. The AFC is a lot better than you think it is. So I would not exactly be willing to crown Kansas City, especially after a blowout loss like this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Looking at the remainder of their schedule, it's not exactly a slam dunk either.
No, so this coming Sunday, they're going to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. Then they have a home game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 16. 17, they're going out to Cincinnati to play the Bengals. Week 18, they're going out to Denver to play the Broncos.
Broncos looked like the only easy game on that schedule.
Uh-huh.
So, Kansas City, little challenge facing you forward.
Yep.
And the Raiders, I mean, obviously the season is going to be done.
Yeah.
I hate saying this. Like I say, I hope everybody hears the pain in my voice about this.
Last place in the AFC West, 6-7 record. In the AFC, they are currently in the 12th position.
Yeah, so it's going to be a tough road for them. I know mathematically still in the talk there, but there's still a lot of teams ahead of them. And after that performance on Sunday, I mean, I just don't see how this team is going to bounce back.
I think they essentially need to win out with a lot of help. So for the rest of their games, they are going to Cleveland to play the Browns. This is on this coming Saturday, I should note. Week 16, they have a home game against the Denver Broncos. Week 17, they are going out to Indianapolis to play the Colts. And then week 18, they are closing out at home against the LA Chargers. So they essentially, I would say, without reading anything or doing math or anything, they need to win out with a ton of help.
Yeah, so, I mean, anything is possible, but I think
Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, but I think this is improbable. So
Yep.
we're going to have to rule them out. It's not a time for them to relax. Unlike Aaron Rodgers,
Oh, boy.
who still has taken stake in the city of Chicago.
Uh-huh. Increasing his ownership.
Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers things.
I think at this point he owns part of the Cubs, White Sox, and Bulls.
Oh, my God. He is just putting on a performance. And I know people were worried about because I guess their record after a bye week is not so hot.
Yeah, I heard something to the tune of that, too. Yeah.
Yes, but Aaron Rodgers decided to say, I am not listening to anybody. I'm just going to do what I do best.
Aaron Rodgers decided to say, fuck your statistics.
Exactly. Break it down, Pat.
Packers won by the final score of 45-30. Aaron Rodgers, 29 of 37, 341 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, helping my fantasy team out.
Same here.
Then you had Justin Fields for Chicago, 18 of 33, 224 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Chicago. It's bad.
Uh-huh.
It's real bad.
You got David Montgomery as a running back who ain't bad. I picked him up in fantasy this week because I needed a back because injuries and COVID. But, David Montgomery's okay.
This is one of those situations at the end of the season you got to implode the team.
Hey, let's not forget they have Jimmy Graham on their team.
Exactly.
I forget that every year, all the last couple of years.
Well, considering about where they should be at this stage in the game, they just have not lived up to performance. Their offense is anemic. There is nothing to it.
Yeah, well, I'd say I'm willing to bet he doesn't have that great of an offensive line for Justin Fields to really get anything done.
And especially being a rookie, I don't feel it's right to say.
Oh, fucking hell. He's got sacked 33 times.
Yeah, I don't want to feel it's fair to say this is like on the Tua disservice that happened to him at the beginning of the season, of his career.
No, yeah.
But there are parallels.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, obviously, they've been doing the quarterback carousel out in Chicago, which
wasn't that because of injury? Like, he got hurt, and they put Dalton in there, but then Dalton got concussed, so they put Fields back in there. It wasn't necessarily a full-blown Fitzpatrick Tua, because that was egregious. This I think was at least a little merit-based in that Fields got hurt, so they put Dalton. Dalton started the season.
Yeah, Dalton started, and
then he got hurt, and they put Fields in. So then Fields got hurt, and they put Dalton back in. Dalton got concussed, and that's when they put Fields back in. I could be missing a few in there, but that's the ones I remember.
It's just one of those weird things they've been doing out there. But let's face it, Chicago has not been Chicago in quite some time.
Chicago hasn't been Chicago since they went to the Super Bowl.
Honestly, that is no lies detected there. And it's sad because, I mean, for being a historic franchise as they are, they just cannot put it together right now. And it's just such a mess out there that you have to go through at the end of the season and really decide, is Matt Nagy the guy? I think they should get rid of him. I'm sorry.
He needs to go.
I don't want to see anybody get fired and lose a job, but let's face it, he's not the guy to lead this organization.
Yep.
He's not.
Yep.
For being such, a guru, where is it?
Uh-huh.
This offense looks, like I said, anemic, if I can use that terminology.
Oh, no, you can.
There's no signs of anything to this to spark your fan base to get excited about you with that side of the ball.
So Justin Fields' statistics, he has 1,585 yards passing on the season, which is good for 31st in the league. 6 touchdowns, which is tied for 30th in the league. 10 interceptions, which is tied for 18th in the league. And then he has a QBR of 27.3, which is good for 31st in the league.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so bad out there.
Yeah, no, which, I mean, I think you can hold on to Fields for at least a couple more seasons.
You have to give Fields another chance.
You got to give him a shot. You got to give him a decent running game because he was the leading rusher on Sunday with 9 carries, 74 yards, no touchdowns. Like I said, Montgomery ain't bad. You know, he's an okay running back, but you need something a little better behind him. And then you just need something to throw to. I mean, Demir Bird, 2 catches, 76 yards, 1 touchdown, was your leading receiver. You know, then you had Jakeem Grant Sr., 1 catch, 46 yards with 1 touchdown. Like, I'm looking at the receivers they got. Allen Robinson's the only one that jumps out to me for, like, people usually pick up for fantasy. He only had 2 catches, 14 yards, no touchdowns. You've got Jimmy fucking Graham on this team who had, where'd it go? 2 catches, 9 yards, no touchdowns. For the season, folks, and now he could have been injured, I'm not sure. But for the season, he has 9 catches, 108 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Well, you got to remember, Jimmy Graham ain't the Jimmy Graham old when he was in New Orleans. Like,
this is true.
There is a difference. Like, people got to remember, too. And, like, he was great at his time, but now just being out in Chicago there's no signs of anything happening there. That they really got to go this offseason, and I can't stress this enough. They need to really tear this team down from top to bottom and rebuild.
Yeah.
Fields is a good corner piece to start with.
Yeah.
I think that he deserves another chance. He needs some more weapons around him. In fact, he needs a better offensive line because how many times has he been sacked this season?
33.
Yeah, that is not something you want to be part of a 30-30 club about. Just saying. He needs more protection so he can actually maybe show signs of life here.
Yeah.
He did give them a quick spark early in the season, but obviously when you're hit this many times, you're not going to do anything. And especially if you're going up against one of the GOATs.
Yeah.
And Mr. Aaron Rodgers, who's on the I Hate Everybody tour.
Yeah, he is.
I'm going to make a point to get to the Super Bowl by myself. I don't care about anybody else. Look, the kid has no chance to win right here.
Yeah.
Rodgers turned it on when he needed to. And obviously Green Bay is looking very, very good going into the postseason.
Yeah, I also was curious, so I pulled it up. Justin Fields is currently 4th in the NFL in terms of sacks. The only people ahead of him are Ryan Tannehill from Tennessee with 37.
That's shocking to me.
Lamar Jackson from Baltimore with 38, and then Joe Burrow with 41. They're the only ones ahead of him. But no, yeah, I mean, you look at the NFC North. You've got Green Bay first place, 10-3. Minnesota's in second place, 6-7. Chicago's third, 4-9. And yeah, Detroit's there too. And then you look at the NFC conference playoff standings. Green Bay sitting in first place, and they win the tiebreaker over because Tampa Bay, and Arizona all have the same record. Green Bay is in first place because they win the tiebreaker over Arizona and Tampa Bay, best on best win percentage in conference games.
Rodgers, man.
The NFC runs through Green Bay, and it's fucking cold in Green Bay in January.
Oh, I could say he definitely wants that rematch with Brady. He wants that in the worst way possible because and I stress if this is it for him in Green Bay, he wants to give them a chip on the way out the door.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we don't know what's going to happen in the offseason. Obviously, there's a lot of speculation going on right now.
A lot of rumors.
Him to Pittsburgh is gaining a lot of heat if you want to buy into it.
Yeah.
But you also have to think, if he wins a Super Bowl, could he walk away from that city? I don't know.
I think so. I genuinely, legitimately think so, that I think things with the front office have gotten that bad that barring some sort of miracle and something miraculous happening with the front office and his relationship, I honestly think he could. I wouldn't like to see it, and it'd be weird as shit to see him in any other uniform other than Green Bay. It'd be Tom Brady, Peyton Manning level of like, it's weird to not see them in that usual jersey. Mm-hmm. But given how bad it is that he held out and sat out for as long as he was, that he threatened to retire and go host Jeopardy.
Yeah.
That he was ready, that I genuinely, legitimately think he would seriously leave.
Can you imagine if he decided to go like old school NWO style and just go on the victory parade and just in the middle of the parade, just rip the shirt off and he has the new jersey on?
Oh my God. And this is the shitty thing for Green Bay. Because unlike the Favre situation where Green Bay had a little bit... Favre, if you don't remember, wanted to go to Minnesota before he left Green Bay. And because Green Bay held all the poker chips in that scenario, so they really controlled his future and could dictate where he went. That's why he went to the Jets for a year. Mm-hmm. And then he ended up in Minnesota. You know, this ain't the case with Rodgers. Rodgers is the one holding the chips in this scenario. He can go wherever he damn well pleases.
It's an interesting predicament that he's in because now, I mean, he wins and obviously the fans are happy. And if with that defense playing way better than they've done in recent years, I think it goes very under the radar too about how well Green Bay's defense has played.
Yeah.
This team is poised to make a run. And they should as long as everybody stays healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the remainder of their schedule, I mean, they got some games ahead of them, though.
Yeah, so this coming Sunday, they are in Baltimore playing the Ravens. Then they've got a home game against the Cleveland Browns in Week 16. Week 17, they have another home game against the Minnesota Vikings. And then Week 18, they are traveling to Detroit to play the Lions.
I wonder if they will sit Rodgers for that one.
I think it depends on... They could, but I think it all depends on if the playoffs, like if they've got
the seeding.
if they've got their seeding locked down, like they know they're going to be the one or they know they're going to be the two, that there's not going to be any change with that. Yes, but I think if it's still up in the air, that there's still a chance they could go one way or the other, they'll play them.
I think it's something they got to consider though with the extra week added in this year.
Yeah,
that's something that we are not talking about a lot, but I know obviously when you start resting players for the playoffs, that has to be taken into consideration. So. Depending on how a team is feeling about their seeding, you might see a lot of people sitting Week 18.
No, yeah, because I think the last week of bye weeks was this week, and I know the Patriots were off this week because a buddy of mine asked, who are you guys playing this week? I'm like, we're off. He's like, wait, are you serious? I go, yeah, you got the added week, at the end of the year. So this is the latest bye games have been this year. So I think any team having, it's in playoff contention that had a bye week this week, you're looking real sexy.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at Arizona's remaining games, just because, hey, it's them, Green Bay, in Tampa Bay. Arizona's last few games are at Detroit, home against Indianapolis, at Dallas, and then home against Seattle. So, boy, that'll be interesting. And then the Bucs' remaining schedule are at home against New Orleans, in Carolina, in New York to play the Jets, so LOL, and then at home against the Panthers to close out the year.
Interesting schedule to finish everything out, man. It's going to be an absolute race to the end.
Because that Bucs schedule, there's one game in there that might give them issues, and that's against New Orleans because the one other time they played this year was the 36-27 loss in Week 8. So that's the only game I think I could see being competitive. The rest of them, not so much.
Definitely not so much. So let's take a quick lap around the league and close this segment out. Pittsburgh took an L to Minnesota.
Hey.
Little wild scenario there.
Shout out Chase Claypool.
Where did he go to college? Notre Dame.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He's a coach guy.
That's that Notre Dame smarts. Lending you credit.
I know. I was hoping Coach came down through for this episode, but
and if you haven't seen the promo Ryan Clark cut on him on Get Up on ESPN, which that's what it was. That was a promo.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong was said by Ryan Clark.
Absolutely not. I agree with everything he said about that. Listen, you gotta be smarter in those kind of situations.
You got to go Larry Fitzgerald on it. Running back to the ref to hand him the ball. Running back to the line of scrimmage to get ready because, hey, you ain't got time to screw around.
No, and the fact that he decided to go taunt. Yeah. I mean, seriously, you cost your team that game. And I'm sorry, maybe they do this at Notre Dame. I don't know. But this is one of those situations that he's got to be smarter about this when he's in the pros. And moving forward with it, Pittsburgh, I mean, their season's done.
Yep.
I mean, I hate saying it, but that tie was already kind of the...
Screwing them over.
Yeah, one of the nails in the coffin, and I think this game definitely put them away. So nothing real nice to say about there. Atlanta. Who is Atlanta?
What is Atlanta?
Atlanta won.
Hey.
29-21 against
Doesn't happen often.
Very depleted Carolina team. So let's see, going around the board. New Orleans beat the Jets 30-9.
I mean, at this point, who hasn't beaten the Jets?
Yeah, I know. We don't have to really elaborate too much about that. Tennessee shut out those Jacksonville Jaguars. Urban Meyer's still on the payroll as we're recording.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you can really say about that game.
Payroll subject to change, though.
Yeah. So stay tuned. ... Dallas defeated their division rival, the Washington football team, 27-20. Denver beat Detroit 38-10. Those Los Angeles Chargers took it to those New York football Giants, 37-21.
Shout out Mike Lennon.
Yes. Ooh, rough game. Rough game. In an overtime thriller, San Francisco took one from Cincinnati, 26-23.
Two former Patriot quarterbacks went on OT game-winning drives. Just want to say.
This was insane. Like, I was sitting there watching this game, and I'm like, San Francisco is really hanging in here. And especially, they were up, but give credit to Cincinnati. This was a fun game to watch if you didn't get a chance to. And that's why we say with those Bengals, if they're healthy and they get into that postseason, I would be slightly scared about this.
Like I said when I read off the schedules, for the Browns, the Bengals, and then the Ravens, I could, as rough as the Browns and Ravens have it, I could see the Bengals sneaking through and winning the division.
Oh, absolutely. I can definitely see that happening too. Like I say, don't sleep on them. That's what we said in the preview episode. Those Los Angeles Rams defeated Arizona 30-23.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's saying about OBJ and blah, blah, blah. Like, listen, this was a hard-fought game. I'm glad for Stafford. Yeah. He finally got some help. Arizona made a lot of mistakes in this game, though. A lot of mental errors.
Yeah.
So this is something for, as well as they played this year, they got to clean up. Because especially if you're making this many mental mistakes at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I'm not saying hit the panic button.
It's a good reality check.
But it's a pause for concern. I will say that.
It is, it's a good reality check for Arizona so that they're not starting to buy into their own, you know what.
Yeah, Murray and Kingsbury definitely need to reassess a few things.
Yeah.
Not saying this was like, oh my God, the sky is falling.
Right.
But this is a game that really had some very big importance to it. And coming up short, not the best look.
No.
But there is one game I wanted to close with, and that was in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady and those Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Buffalo Bills 33-27.
I was hilariously off last week when I said that like Brady's beaten the Bucs 20-something times. I was off by like 10. Mm-hmm. He's beaten the Bills 30-something times now.
No, it's ridiculous.
Yay.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, the early half of his career, let's face it, Buffalo was bad. Real bad.
True.
This game, though, I don't know if we should put the disclaimer out. I think I'll keep it calm.
All right.
This game, the Bills were down 24-3 at halftime.
Yep. I contemplated turning the game off.
Yeah, I will admit, I got back watching the game from my local establishment I went to with Rich from 3FN, because we usually watch the games for the Sunday ticket. I went back home to watch this, and I was sitting there going, what are we doing on offense?
Yeah, and admittedly, I wasn't going to watch this game just because I don't root for Buffalo. I don't root for Tom Brady, So I wasn't going to watch the game, but then a bunch of people in our Locks and Leaps group were picking Buffalo, including Coach, and you were feeling a certain type of way that you're like, God damn it, Coach, don't curse my team. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you're fucking going to make me watch this game just to see how this goes. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah, because I will tell you this, the first 3 quarters absolutely sucked. And I'm not saying this is a Bills fan, but the Bills, as an overall team, looked all over the place. They had no rhythm on offense. The defense really was struggling on every single play. They just looked very lost. Like, they did not focus and hone it in. That's why Tampa Bay got 24 on them.
I'll say Buffalo also didn't have... Buffalo looked to solve his running game issues from the week prior, but not having a running back get a carry until like the second half.
Exactly, and this is why I can't stand how Brian Daboll called the game. And I'm sorry. His play calling, doing... we'll throw it in wrestling terms.
Sure.
This 50-50 booking stuff he does, between we'll do one half all run and the other half all pass, is not working.
No.
Because that's how it's coming across to me. Or one quarter we'll pass and then we'll run for 2 quarters and then we'll come back and pass.
That's what you do when you're new playing Madden.
It's not working. And we saw it happen right here. Because what is the one thing I've been saying all season with Josh Allen? You know what? It wouldn't kill you to fake a pass and run.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, 4th quarter, we finally decided to come to that resolution. And we finally got the ball moving in our favor.
Yeah.
He did that. He had a masterful drive down the field. And, when we start getting some points on the board, especially Gabriel Davis got him going, that move made a lot of sense. And I know online chatter was like they should have been going for 2-point conversions. Listen, they weren't in that wind tunnel game against New England. They were in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
You take what you can give. And the defense finally tightened up things in the 4th quarter because guess what? They finally made adjustments, slowed Brady down, and Josh Allen took the game upon himself to really try winning this.
Yeah.
And you know what he did? He fake pass and ran. He took what the team gave him, and that's what he did. He got the ball to Singletary, and actually Singletary was running good routes. So once you have that balance, guess what? Things happen.
Yeah.
That's why we put up 24 points in the 4th quarter. However, though, and I don't think there's any dispute about this, but the final minute of the game, when the Bills are making their drive down the field, there was a pass interference, no call on Stephon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am going to say this. if you're not going to call it during regulation, you cannot call it in overtime. Should Diggs have gotten a pass interference call? 100% yes. The replays show the jersey being held.
Oh, yeah. Even I'm a Pats fan, and I'll agree with you on that one.
So you can't deny that. And then the Bills got stuck in a 4th and 2 situation. And I know that a lot of online chatter was they should have gone for it. Pad, if you were the coach, would you have gone for it?
No.
Okay.
I think you gotta trust your defense a little bit. Which to this point, you know, they gave up a lot of points in the first half, but at this point, fourth quarter, Tampa Bay had only put up 3. So I think you got to put a little bit of trust and faith in your defense.
I agree, and I will also say this: if I was the coach, I would have gone for it if I didn't do it in Tennessee.
Sure.
Because remember, when they went for it instead of the easy points, Josh slipped, game over,
Yeah.
heard about it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
About how the team is falling apart and the sky is crashing and everything, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Listen, McDermott played it safe. I don't have an issue with how he called this game, especially in being the final 2 minutes of this game. I was actually shocked. I thought he actually called it well.
Yeah.
Be the first one to admit that, and I think I have to keep that on tape because I don't say that often. So when they went and they got tied, they went in overtime, Bills got the ball back, 3 and out.
Yep.
Happens. Then we get Brady coming down the field, and what was it, 3rd and 12 or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
He throws the ball to Mike Evans, and the Bills defender had his hands up.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson had his hands up, did not go anywhere near, and Evans leaned into the ball. I mean, the replay was on there. The announce team even mentioned it too. Then they call pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My argument is you didn't call for Diggs when you saw the jersey being held and there was a lot of contact in that corner of the end zone. I understand it's under 30 seconds left in the game, but still you have to call it if you're going to call it. You can't call that pass interference with Evans when he is the one initiating it and turning his body into the defender to change the route.
Mm-hmm.
You can't call it. The minute that happened, you saw the Bills break. I hate saying that as a fan, but they broke.
Yeah.
The spirit broke. Brady knew this, and listen, Brady is the GOAT for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
The minute he saw that, he was like, you know what? We're on about the 45, 50-yard line. Give me 2 plays. I got this.
See, the only thing for me with the Evans one was, to me, that was more of, like, obviously the Diggs one is clear as goddamn day.
Sure.
Missed call. To me, the Evans one, though, that to me was like a bang-bang play at first that, like, did they blow it? Yeah. Did they miss it? Yeah, but that's a product of not being able to look in, go back and replay and check and do this and that. Because let's face it, if they did that in the NFL, the games would get extended by 45 minutes. But I think that was more of a they missed it, but it was bang bang. Quick play. Still missed it, but I think that one was more. I can understand missing that one more than the Diggs one.
I see that point, but what I will say is, why are we then New York not stepping in and checking it?
I don't know if they can or not.
See, that's the thing, because obviously we don't have coaches' challenges. So that's what I was sitting there thinking, like, wait, how are you able to do this and you can't question a play like that? Because I would have, I've been like, you got to question a flag on that. Like, seriously, there is a lot of stuff, and maybe this is just my anger coming out, because Sunday night I was pretty lit about this, not going to lie. This is one of those situations, the consistency of the refs throughout this entire game pretty much was atrocious.
Yeah.
And it came obviously out at the worst possible times. So now the Bills took the L, currently 7th place in the playoffs.
I'll say, hey, you had a rusher crack 100 yards rushing. Oh, wait, it was your quarterback.
Still, I'll take it, because you know what? At least Josh was smart enough to figure this game out and take what the defense gave him. And for Tampa Bay, it's a good win, but I'm going to say something maybe a little hot. I didn't think Brady looked that great in this game.
He looked all right.
He looked all right, but I think down that stretch,
it's a concerning win for Tampa Bay, if anything. It's a win. Yeah, it's in the win column. Yeah, you're set up real nice for the playoffs. But to me, it is a very concerning win, just because you look at Buffalo and the kind of recent history they've had, where okay, you beat Buffalo, but they're on a 2-game losing streak now. They lost that brutal knockdown dragout game, at home against New England.
Mm-hmm.
They blew out the Saints 31-6, but then they got the ball ran down their throat, by Indianapolis. They beat the Jets, but again, who hasn't beat the Jets?
Yeah.
And then they lost to Jacksonville. So this is a team that the game should not have gone to overtime.
No, absolutely not.
If all things considered, I think Tampa Bay should have won. Now, without taking how the game actually went out of it and all the rest and all the other things, just on paper looking at it, Tampa Bay should have won this game by at least 2 scores. Mm-hmm. This shouldn't have been the scenario where, Tom Brady's in the Atlanta Falcons situation from the Super Bowl. You're up 24-3 at halftime, and you almost fucking blow it. That to me is concerning because Buffalo is good, but they're not as crisp as they were the last couple of weeks.
No, I'll give you that too. Brady should have blown him out. The fact that he allowed him to come back in the game. I mean, I'm happy as a Bills fan.
Sure.
But I would be scared sugarless if I was a Buccaneers fan. Because this is a bad win for them. They should have actually taken the Bills out of contention and just absolutely blown this game out. So that being said, they did get one away with the refs, and like I say, I believe you're right. The Bills couldn't question that.
Yeah.
In that time period. See, that's how fired up I got. I can't even think straight about it because when I'm having my flashbacks, I'm getting all amped up because this is the game the Bills should have had, and we have inconsistency with our refereeing again.
Yeah.
This is coming back to haunt, and this was on both sides of the ball.
Oh yeah.
But this is the thing that if you're going to blame something on the refs, I blame the inconsistency.
Sure.
Call it both ways if you're going to call it, but you can't call that one a non-pass interference, and then on the other side, you have a guy that leans in.
Yeah, but at the same token, though, it's like we say with the UFC, is the reffing in UFC, or is the judging in UFC shitty? Yes. But that's why you fight in a UFC fight to where you don't need to go to the judges.
Oh, I agree.
You don't leave it in the judges' hands. Was the reffing in this game shitty? But that's why you should play better so that it doesn't come down to the refs, and the refs can't play a factor in how this game comes out.
Oh, I grant you. No, I grant you. Once you got into overtime, sure. No, I will give you that. But I'm saying the Diggs no call, that was a factor in this game.
Oh, I agree with
that. And that's the thing. Had that call been called correctly, different ballgame.
Sure.
But they took what they got, and the thing is, the Bills should have drove down the field a little better in that first drive when they got the ball back.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you blame it solely on that factor. But I think that is a factor that's noteworthy of how this game came out, though. That's where my argument is with it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how the Bills bounce back. Carolina is next on deck for them.
Yep. And then they're up in New England the week after that for week 16. Week 17, they're at home against Atlanta. Atlanta coming to Buffalo in January. Yikes. And then the final game of the season is at home against the New York Football Jets.
Well, this is the question mark we have for the Bills. Should we beat Carolina? Yes. New England, debatable since obviously it was close last time.
Yep.
We'll have to wait to see how things are different in Foxborough. Obviously, the wind is going to be a different story up there.
In theory. You never know.
In theory. Atlanta should be a win. The Jets should be a win.
Yeah.
So they should go at least 3-4 on the remainder of the season, if not 4-4.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends, though, on what Bills team we get to show up this week. I think you're going to see the bounce back this week. I think you're going to see – it depends if Josh Allen is still in a boot, because I know they were watching his ankle because he took a bad shot late in the running down the field.
Yeah.
And he gutted through it because he's Josh Allen. That's what he does. We got the Maserati.
Oh, God.
So, listen, the Maserati's got to take on anybody. I'd rather him take on Carolina than go to Foxborough. Give Josh the week off. I know I'm going to catch a lot of heat about saying this, but listen.
Yeah, you are.
I don't care. Carolina is that bad that if we can't beat them with a Maserati, we shouldn't be going to the playoffs. And if Josh is in the game, this game should be done by halftime. Score should be like 35-0 if this team is a real contender. In fact, I haven't seen the point spread. Give this as my lock this week. Buffalo over Carolina.
Let me pull that up. Let's see. I'm pulling it up now. Buffalo by 10.5.
Done. Lock that in. Because if this team's a real deal, this is what they're going to do.
Weather forecasting, for those of you who are curious, for Orchard Park, New York, this coming Sunday is cloudy and 33 degrees.
Good. I hope it snows.
Whoa.
I want it cold. I want it bitter, just like how I am right now.
Somebody hit up Jim Cantori, see if we can't make that happen.
Oh, do something for it. See, now I'm getting fired up about this because talking about that game is bringing back a lot of those emotions.
Football's great when your team is off.
Yeah, but when it loses a heartbreaker due to egregious refereeing calling in the fourth quarter, it makes it a little bitter for the week. So we'll just end the segment right here. A lot of football action going on. Week 14 in the NFL. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPH pod. What is your takeaways from the NFL action of Week 14? How is your team doing? Are you angry like I am? Are you sitting content? Are you a Patriots fan who's just saying, you know what, we got the bye this week. We're looking okay. Let's have that discussion, shall we? We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
April 1st, 2022 will mark the 10-year anniversary of the biggest professional wrestling bout of all time, and at long last, Julio has agreed to travel into the bowels of the beast that is sports entertainment.
In the Contrarian's first ever Patreon-exclusive miniseries, we'll be deep diving the complex story of what was billed as once in a lifetime, The Rock vs. John Cena. Join us as we cover the fictional and real rivalry that led to the biggest money match in the history of an industry while paralleling the movie careers of John Cena and Dwayne Johnson.
Part 1 will look at the careers of The Rock and John Cena leading into 2011, including their early entries in the world of acting with The Rundown and The Marine.
Part 2 will see The Rock's return to the world of professional wrestling after 7 years away as he challenges John Cena to a match in the main event of WrestleMania 28. We'll discuss the year-long build as well as the movies that came from it, Fast 5 and The Reunion.
In Part 3, we'll recap the infamous Summer of Punk, the legendary John Cena vs. CM Punk WWE title match for Money in the Bank 2011, and the UFC veterans' foray into out-of-ring acting, Girl on the Third Floor.
The Contrarians travel back in time to Miami, Florida in Part 4 for the history-making, record-breaking bout between two of the biggest stars in entertainment and follow it up with the WWE-produced once-in-a-lifetime documentary.
And in the finale, we'll look at the fallout and legacy of the feud and match, as well as the men's recent work in the world of acting, with 2018's Skyscraper and 2021's Vacation Friends.
Part 1 drops on December 20th. Be sure to head over to patreon.com/Contrarian Prime today to select your tier. Just a $1 subscription will get you access.
It is thunderous inside sunlight. Here we go. Once in a lifetime.
Coming back for another segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast, and time to recap some UFC action.
Boy, oh boy.
UFC 269 took place in Las Vegas this past weekend, and holy smokes, there's a lot of headlines coming out of this one.
Uh-huh.
So, Pad, why don't we recap the main card, shall we?
Yeah, so the first fight you had on the main card was a Bantamweight division where Sean O'Malley defeated Raulian Paiva via TKO in the first round.
So, the Sugar Show is back in full effect.
In theory.
The guy is the new hype train of the UFC.
For now.
He's backed up what he's been in the ring with thus far, but we have to put an asterisk by it.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, O'Malley still has not faced any real competition in this division.
Uh-huh.
And that is something we have to remember. Being in the 135-pound class, he still is on that borderline 15 rank.
Yeah.
He is box office when he's in there because he's done something which is very tough to do for that weight class, and that has really become a breakout star.
Yeah.
Whether you love him or you hate him, he's entertaining, and he does what you expect him to do.
Sure.
He comes out, he'll fight. I know that he had that one fight which had to get stopped because obviously he was injured in it, but this is a guy that you can kind of build up into something if you get him around the right talent. But the question is, who is next for him?
Yeah.
So, Pat, that being said, who do you got in the rankings?
Yeah, so in the Bantamweight division, Aljamain Sterling is currently your champion. Number 1 ranked fighter is Peter Yan. He is your interim champion. Number 2 is TJ Dillashaw. 3 is Jose Aldo. 4 is Corey Sandhagen. 5 is Rob Font. 6 is Merab Devalshvi. Apologies if I butchered the name. Number 7 and jumping up 2 spots is the one and only Dominic Cruz. Number 8 and jumping up 3 spots is the one and only Marlon Vera. Number 9 and jumping up 1 spot is Marlon Moraes. Number 10 and dropping 2 spots is Pedro Munoz. 11 and jumping up 2 spots is Frankie Edgar. Number 12 is Rafael Asuncao. And then 13 is Sean O'Malley.
All right, so Sean's finally cracked in there.
Yeah.
Well, this is a really good question.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know necessarily. I think you got to give him somebody really around that like 10-11 rank.
Yeah, let's say give him Edgar. Give him Frankie.
Frankie would be good. I know if they want to try running back against Marlon Vera, that could be something too.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would.
Yeah, no, I don't know, because like that's my one thing with Sean O'Malley is like you can hype him up all you want, and you can blow sunshine up his ass until he's glowing gold. but like until he beats a name, I'm not ready to buy in on it just because he's got 16 professional matches under his belt now. He's 15-1. The one loss coming to Marlon Vera, who is a name. Outside of that, he's undefeated. He's won all of his other fights in the UFC, which it's great. He's on a 3-fight win streak, and he's knocked all 3 of them out, but they're all names that I go, wait, who the hell are you? So the one name he's beaten that I recognize, I'm like, okay, hey, you face Marlon Vera, who I know. I'm not the biggest Marlon Vera fan, but I know the name. You lost to him. Vera knocked out O'Malley in 4 minutes and 40 seconds of the first round back in August of last year.
Well, that was also due to he took that nerve damage, or what was it, an ACL tear? It was some kind of nerve / muscle tear yet. So I mean, if they want to run it back, I'd be okay with that. But there is another candidate too that I think would make a lot of sense for box office.
Yeah.
And if this is what you really want to test this kid, I think this would make a lot of sense. But this ties into the next fight we're going to be talking about, and that is involving one Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, so the matchup you're referring to was in the flyweight division where you had Kai Kara-France defeat Cody Garbrandt in 3 minutes and 21 seconds of the first round via TKO.
So I'm going to be very honest about this. Kara-France looked like $1 million.
Uh-huh.
Cody Garbrandt is in a very, very puzzling situation.
Should note this was his flyweight debut.
Right. Well, you have to face, if you look at the track record Garbrandt's been on,
not good as of late.
He's a one-trick pony, but he's a very good with the one trick.
Yeah.
He can knock people out at any moment, too. I mean, obviously, taking the belt from Dominic Cruz as he did is arguably the biggest moment, I think, in the Bantamweight division in recent memory.
Yeah, I mean, he was on an 11-fight win streak when he beat Dominic Cruz by unanimous decision in December of 2016. But then he lost back-to-back fights by TJ Dillashaw, who knocked his ass out both times.
Mm-hmm.
Then he lost a third fight to Pedro Munoz, who knocked his ass out. Then he beat Rafael Osakeo via knockout. That was back in June of last year. And he's on currently a 2-fight losing streak, losing to Rob Font by unanimous decision and then getting knocked out by Kai Kara-France. Like you said, though, he's a knockout machine. 17 professional matches, 12-5 record, 10 wins are by knockout, 2 by decision.
Well, this is the one thing that he does is Garbrandt will box with you.
Yeah.
That's all he's going to do. He's not exactly well-versed in the MMA realms, and this is not a slight to him. I don't want this coming across as. But what he does is he will get into fights, and he likes to keep it standing with his hands.
Sure.
Why not do a catch weight if you want to? If he doesn't want to come back to 135, which I think he should, at least for this moment.
Yeah.
Or if you want to talk O'Malley going down to 125, have Sean O'Malley versus Cody Garbrandt. That is a fight I would make I'd make that right now. They were jawing each other a little bit in the pressers.
Yeah.
Listen, if you want to do this, Garbrandt,
he'd be up for it.
He'd be up for it. This plays right into Sean O'Malley's domain.
Yeah.
It's box office. They will hype it up. You're not going to have a boring fight, barring any kind of wild scenario where O'Malley's leg gives out on him again.
Yeah.
This makes a ton of sense for me because, I mean, Garbrandt, I don't feel is in that upper echelon of bantamweights anymore.
No, I mean, I'm looking at both the UFC.com/rankings. I'm looking at both the flyweight and bantamweight division rankings. Cody ain't on either of them, so I don't think you can give him another fight in the Cody might want it, but if I'm Dana, I don't give him another flyweight debut or another flyweight fight because, listen, you didn't really do much to thrill me. Why not throw him, this proposed fight and see what he says?
I would definitely do it. It makes a lot of sense because Garbrandt's in that weird scenario where he's a name if he goes to flyweight.
Yeah.
But then again, take a look at who's in that flyweight division.
You've got flyweight division. Brandon Moreno is your champion. Devis
Figueiredo,
Askarov, Alexander Pantoja, Alex Perez, Brandon Royval, Kai Kara-France, Rogerio Bontorin, Mateus Nicolau. Apologies if I butcher any of these names. Matt Schnell is your number 9. David Dobrek is not Dobrik. David Dobrik, different guy, is your number 10 ranked fighter. 11 is Tim Elliott. 12 is just Gentleman with one name. Sumdaerji? Sumudaerji. One name. 13 is Amir Albazi. 14 is Manel Kape, Kape. And then 15 is Tajir Ulanbekov.
So what this would mean if Garbrandt stayed at flyweight is they have a name in that division that people know.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that he should be fighting in that weight class. I mean, if he's going to continue fighting the UFC, I think he has to. I don't think there's an option.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a name for the flyweight division, and it's certainly a good measuring stick for some of these up-and-coming guys in the division. But I don't know if I'm Cody, I would necessarily want, I'm going to be the punching bag. I'm going to be the measuring stick for these new up-and-coming guys, and it's just going to leave me by the wayside. I don't know if I'm him, I would want to do that.
Well, that's the one problem that he's got right now is you're in a position where everybody knows you're one trick. You're not fooling the audience. And he's taken a lot of tread on those tires.
Yeah.
As Pat read, most of his last fights have been either he's knocked out or been knocked out.
Uh-huh.
So that tells me one thing. He's standing in the pocket, and he's just treating this like rock'em sock'em robots.
And we should know next year will mark his 10-year anniversary of professional fights. His first ever professional fight. Now, mind you, I'm saying professional because unprofessional, semi-pro, not listed on his Wikipedia page. His first professional fight was in December 29th of 2012. So at the bare minimum, he's been fighting professionally for almost 10 years.
You have to wonder how much tread is on those tires.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing. Like I say, he likes to box. Well, if he's staying flat foot in there and trying to have rock'em sock'em battles, and we've seen him do this, so I want to stress this. The TJ Dillashaw ones are very noteworthy.
Uh-huh.
Where they just stood in the center and just went at each other and just who caught who first.
Yep.
This is the style he fights. So that's why if anybody's wondering, well, if he gets knocked out some other way, it's like, no, he likes to stand in there and throw his hands.
And in case you're curious, I mentioned the 5 losses. Oh, what's the tread on the tires like for his losses? 4 by knockout, 1 by decision.
Yeah.
The man doesn't get dragged into deep waters. He just gets knocked out.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's entertaining for fans, sure, but for longevity and fighting,
that style don't last long.
It doesn't. So that's where I say, if I'm Dana, I just say, you know what, you guys figure out the weight class and you guys just show up for it. And if I think O'Malley will say, just let's do 135 and call it a day. And you know what? And you know what? If he beats him, then you can catapult him in because you know what? It's still a name at that division for bantamweight. So that fight makes a lot more sense to me. And I think that that's the one they should go with because if you keep trying to camouflage O'Malley from your top echelon fighters, fans are going to get it quick.
Yeah.
That's the problem you have when you have the next big things.
Yeah.
Your Sage and Northcutts, your Paige Van Zandts, when they came in fighting, they were really put against some stiff competition and they didn't do so well there.
If you just continually, to use the wrestling term, if you just continually feed them enhancement talent.
Yeah. I mean,
it becomes like if they're 5, 6, 7 fights in and they've just fought nothing but no names that like even the most diehard fan might not know, then it becomes kind of obvious what you're trying to do. Yeah,
so they definitely got to do that with O'Malley. And Garbrandt at this stage, I think you do that. And I think I will say this right now. If O'Malley beats him, it's done. It's done. If he gets knocked out by O'Malley, it's a wrap.
You have to consider it.
You have to. Like I say, I hate saying for somebody to lose their job, but listen, if he gets knocked out by O'Malley, like first round, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's done. End of story there.
Yeah.
Next up
was a welterweight matchup where Jeff Neal defeated Santiago Ponzinibbio via split decision. 28-29, 30-27, 29-28.
When we talked about this last week, I said this was going to be pretty standard. There was nothing going to be really super crazy to write home about. I mean, Jeff Neal, you know what you're getting with him. Same thing with Santiago. So that being said, they did exactly what I thought they were going to do. It was an entertaining fight.
Sure.
But it's not box office. It's nothing sizzle reel.
Yeah.
It's two solid guys that just went in there and did what they do.
Yeah, it's a good bounce back win for Neal, who was on a 2-fight losing streak, so now he's back in the win column. It is a bit of a tennis match on the other hand, for Santiago. Beat Neil Magny back in 2018, lost to Li Jinglang in 2021. Then that was back in January, I should say. Then on June 5th, he beat Miguel Beza by unanimous decision, lost this fight. So a bit of a tennis match there.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, nothing super crazy, and this is kind of what they do. So I wasn't super shocked. And for Jeff Neal, it's going to be kind of like, well, where do we go from here? And Santiago, I mean, they'll bounce back. It's not like this is going to write them off by any means.
Well, I mean, I got an idea of, just looking at the rankings, because your current welterweight champion is the one and only Kamaru Usman. Jeff Neal is currently ranked number 12. There is a dude at the number 11 ranked named Kazmat Chimaev. Just saying.
Well, you know what? They really want to skyrocket Chimaev. Like, that fight would make some sense, too. If you take a look at Chimaev's record and see who he's fought, this is where it's going to kind of get very tricky, because they really want to skyrocket him.
Yeah.
And the only thing with Chimaev is, depending on who's available, they really, really, really want to get him in title contention. Like, that's the thing about him. I would say I would do that fight too, but Dana is always very, wants him in a special position. Like, it's a lot like Shane O'Malley in the same sense.
Sure.
Or Sean O'Malley. It's just one of those situations where, when you look at who Chimaev has fought, and he fights anybody, like, it doesn't matter, just you show up and you take a look at his last 5 fights.
Yeah, so he's got 10 professional matches under his record, 10-0 record. He beat Li Jinglang with a rear naked choke submission. Beat Gerald Meerschaert, Meerschaert, by a knockout in 17 seconds into the first round. Then he knocked out Reese McKee. That was 3 minutes and 9 seconds into the first round. That was back in July of last year. Submitted John Phillips with the ever-used Darce choke.
Yeah.
Then he beat... Back-to-back Darce chokes. Holy fuck. So this was for the Brave CF 27 card. This was back in October of 2019, where he beat his opponent with another Darce choke. And then his 5th fight was against a gentleman by the name of Irkram Aliskrov, who he knocked out in April of 2019.
Yeah, see, it would make sense for Neal too, but Dana, I don't think will do it. I think Dana has his heart set on a Nate Diaz fight.
Sure.
And you know what? I think that would make a lot more sense, because Chimaev is a star. The Neal fight would be a solid one, and I think it'd be a real test. But you also have to wonder, though, Chimaev is just a different kind of animal. Like, he is just on a different playing field right now with just how he comes in fights. I think Neal would give him competition, but I think Chimaev would take that one outright. It's just a weird situation for Neal, though, like I say, because he's solid. Yeah. He's not flashy.
And so, he's got 14 wins, 8 by knockout, 2 by submission, 4 by decision. So it's a mixed bag.
It's definitely a mixed bag, and that's why I say, I could see Dana doing that if there wasn't anybody willing to step up.
Yeah.
Because Chimaev is starting to get that Glover Teixeira early debut vibes where people were ducking Glover when he first came in.
Sure.
Kind of getting that kind of thing with Chimaev. So that would be a fight that would make some sense. I could see that happening too, Pat.
I'll say maybe if they don't want to do Chimaev because they want to rocket strap his butt to the moon, you've got Bilal Muhammad at number 10, Michael Chiesa at number 9. So, there's some options.
Yeah, I would do Chiesa. That's a fight I think I would make, because Chiesa's kind of in that weird place too.
Yeah.
Like I say, if they want to have that one again, or do that one, by all means.
Yeah.
But then the biggest shock.
Holy fucking
of
shit.
All.
Yeah.
Pat, break it down.
So this one was for the Women's Bantamweight Championship, where you had the champ, the Lioness, the possible GOAT MMA women's fighter of all time. You can certainly have that discussion. Amanda Nunes was going up against Juliana Pena, and both of us on this show, check the tape, said Amanda Nunes.
Yep.
Said Amanda Nunes big. That there was no way we saw Juliana Pena being able to beat Amanda Nunes, because, as we all know, Amanda Nunes, as much as WWE likes to call Randy Orton the quote-unquote legend killer, Amanda Nunes is the legit women's MMA legend killer. As I mentioned last week, Shayna Baszler, beat her. Shevchenko, beat her. Misha Tate, Ronda Rousey, Shevchenko again. Raquel Pennington, Chris Cyborg, Holly Holm, Megan Anderson, beat them all.
Yep.
Handedly. Came into that fight, against Juliana Pena, and Juliana Pena must not heard the show because she didn't give a fuck.
No.
Submitted with a rear naked choke Amanda Nunes at 3 minutes and 26 seconds in the second round, becoming quite possibly, you can certainly have that discussion and look at the Vegas numbers and come to your own conclusions, becoming quite possibly the largest UFC upset in history.
Nunes was a minus 1,100 coming into this.
Jesus. So if you bet on Pena, you made out some good money.
You did. And a few storylines coming out of this one. Okay, first round was Nunes, but Pena did not quit. And Pena literally broke Nunes' spirit in that second round. I was shocked at this.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely mind-blown shock. And this is something that had weird parallels, at least to me, with Anderson Silva fought Chris Weidman.
Yeah, okay.
This was a situation where, let's face it, when you're the GOAT, and this doesn't tarnish anything from Nunez's record,
Hell
in my
no.
opinion.
Hell no.
Nunez is the GOAT, period. Like, end of story. Nunez came in this fight, and I think that she was implementing her will at the beginning of this round, round one. Mm-hmm. And I think the fact that she didn't break Pena during that was kind of a shock to everybody.
Well, and the other thing that surprised me, too, was just Nunez got gassed.
Right.
She got, like, towards the end of the... Because I wasn't able to watch fights live, but I caught some highlights later. And I know Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier were, like, screaming at the top of their lungs, like, hey, anybody would. Just how gassed she was. And that was super surprising, to me. That I'm like, oh, this is Nunez, who's, like, gone against a who's who in the women's MMA, class. Like, she shouldn't be gassed.
Well, I know that she was recovering from COVID that she diagnosed earlier this year.
Okay.
So, that being said...
That could have played a part.
Maybe it did.
Yeah.
I mean, no excuses for it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
She was in this fight, and she definitely had struggles with this as well, because when the fight was originally supposed to happen for August 7th, it was pushed back.
Right.
Because, like I said, unfortunately, Nunez had a positive test of COVID during the pre-fights for scenario for this fight for August 7th.
Right.
So that's saying it's hard to speculate.
Sure.
But I just thought watching this fight, Nunez definitely did not look like the Nunez of old going into the end of the first round, going into the second.
Yeah.
I thought she definitely was struggling, and I thought Pena simply broke her. Like, it's such a weird thing to say because I don't like saying that about Amanda Nunez. Now the question is, where do we go from here? I know Pena was talking a lot of things at the end of the post-fight. A lot. Mm-hmm. I think there is only one logical answer you have to do, and that's immediate rematch.
I'm all right with that. I mean, I'm looking at the UFC.com/rankings. Obviously, Juliana Pena is your bantamweight champion. Amanda Nunez is your number 1 ranked contender. Number 2 is Holly Holm. And then also, interestingly enough, Valentina Shivchenko is now your women's pound-for-pound MMA fighter, with Thug Rose being number 2.
Well, I believe that because, I mean, Shevchenko, we've already said, has been the silver medalist GOAT
Sure.
right now because, I mean, she is the queen of her weight class.
Sure.
She just can't beat Nunez. So now the question is for Nunez, will she come back as hungry the next time? And I think she will because I think that she definitely was embarrassed by the performance.
Yeah, I mean, I can see an immediate rematch. I mean, I'm looking at Juliana Pena's win-loss record and who she's fought. The number 2 ranked fighter in the women's bantamweight division is Holly Holm. She has not fought Holly Holm either in exhibition or professionally. So, I mean, that's a matchup you could certainly have if, for whatever reason, Amanda Nunez isn't up for the task. So you got some options.
I think there's some options, but I think that's the only one the UFC can make.
It's the only one they should make, but barring bizarre circumstances, hey, you never know.
Because the only other thing you could do is if Shevchenko wants to come up and challenge for the belt.
Oh.
I mean, Julia Pena is going to have a tough challenge ahead of her. And that's why I say I think you got to give Nunez the benefit of the doubt. Let her make the call. If she's, however soon she's ready to come back and feels she's ready to come back, you make that fight. I don't think there's any question about that. And then if she is not, and, whatever the case would be that she didn't want to come back and do it, you bump Shevchenko up there and let her be a champ opportunity.
Yeah.
Pena is going to definitely, have to battle, though. I mean, that's going to be the question. Because now, I mean, she did get the surprise. I mean, the only person that thought she was going to win, honestly, was her in her camp.
Yeah.
And kudos to them. Like I say, I don't fault her for that. And for Nunez, like I say, we don't know exactly what was going on. Like I said, the only thing we knew is she was sick earlier in the year.
Yeah.
With a positive diagnosis. I'm not saying that was the defining factor of this, because I don't think it was.
You never know.
But
could have played a part.
But it's something that we just say for record, because now what happens is coming back for this next fight coming up, which whenever we see Nunez I feel very, very bad for whoever's standing across from her in the cage, because I think she's going to come out and wanting to put a statement win on for whoever it is. Mm-hmm. And if it's Juliana Pena, you need to step up, you need to challenge, and you need to tell people this wasn't a fluke. That's one of the toughest things to do in an upset like this. Could she do it? Yes. Is she going to do it? Jury is still out.
Yeah.
I want to see a little bit more from Nunez and her workout and, her training for this as we come into whenever the rematch is going to be. So that's what I'm waiting to see. So that being said, though, We got one more fight on this card.
Yeah, so that was for the lightweight championship where you had Charles Oliveira, the champ, defeat Dustin Poirier via rear naked choke submission 1 minute and 2 seconds into the third round.
Oliveira is no joke.
Yo, he's fucking scary.
For anybody that was doubting the man for whatever reason, the hype is real. This fight proved it.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah, I mean, the man is fucking scary. In 41 professional matches, he has a record now of 32 wins, 8 losses, 1 no contest. And goddamn, nobody can take him the distance. I mean, the only person in recent history to take him the distance was Tony Ferguson back in December of 2020. That was a unanimous decision win for Oliveira. Prior to that, the last person to take him the distance, and you got to go a fucking ways, was Jeremy Stevens on a Ultimate Fighter, a champion will be crowned that on December 12th of 2014.
Yeah.
And that was a catchweight fight because Oliveira missed weight. That was the last person to take him the distance outside of Ferguson. What the fuck?
It's absolutely wild, just the renaissance this guy's on.
Everything else, literally everything else, is either submission or knockout.
He's so well-rounded now. I mean, for anybody that was sleeping on him, the guy is legit, and he's taken on all challengers.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Poirier was definitely working in the first round, but he looked a little gassed after that first round, too.
Sure.
Like, he went for broke. Like, it was not like the same as Amanda Nunes a little bit, but he went for broke. And I was kind of surprised at that game plan.
Yeah.
But Oliveira weathered that storm.
Yeah.
And that was the craziest thing about it. So to see Poirier gas out a little bit for that second round,
Yeah.
Oliveira just stood that test, and, man, I was not seeing that game plan go. And then once he got his hooks in, it was a wrap. It was done.
Yeah.
So now the question is who's next. I think there's a no-brainer for this one for Oliveira. That's Justin Gaichi.
Yeah, I'll say he is the current number 1 ranked fighter in the lightweight division, having jumped up past Dustin Poirier. So, no, I mean, outside of what Connor, you know who is fucking talking about, because, hey, I get your name and I get your box office, but you're also the number 9 ranked fighter. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Fight somebody else and jump up the rankings a little bit before you earn a title shot. I'm sorry, name alone isn't enough to justify a title shot for me. No, for me, Justin Gaethje is the only one that makes sense.
No, Gaichi is the only one that makes sense right now. And I know that there is some contenders coming up in that challenge, so this is not going to be anything easy. I do like Oliveira right now, though.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
I'll take it. If you say tomorrow is Gaichi versus Oliveira, I'm taking Oliveira. Oliveira is just so well-rounded, and the fact that if you can hang with Michael Chandler, you can hang with pretty much anybody.
Uh-huh.
And Gaichi is along that lines. Like, I have to agree with common man Vince Iotoli from Crow's Nest MMA. He was saying the same thing. He's like, if you can weather a storm from Chandler,
Yeah.
you can weather pretty much anything. And this is one of the wildest scenarios, too, with Oliveira, because he can now basically call a shot. Gaichi, that'll be a great fight. And then for Dustin Poirier, I mean, things are a little kind of crazy, too. Because he could easily pick and choose who he wants to fight now.
Yeah.
I want to say this is a good loss for him. Because, for him not getting this title shot originally, because he decided to go for the big money against Conor.
Yep.
It worked out in his favor. I mean, obviously not getting the belt didn't work out, but it is what it is.
Yeah, he knocked Connor's ass out twice.
Yeah, and you know what?
Once by doctor, but it's a TKO.
And then here's also the question, too. If he wants to run it back with Conor, because, Conor liked to open that big mouth of his, he can do this. And don't say it wouldn't be box office either.
4th fight?
Like I say, just with how it ended last time, you know how things are getting a little crazy there.
They have fought 3 times, with the record being 2-1 in favor of Dustin.
Right. We shouldn't have to do a 4th one.
No.
But, the UFC does
If there was a controversial finish, the ref stopped it for some bullshit reason that, upon further review was like, oh, hey, you shouldn't have stopped it because that didn't happen. I would get that, and I would be, all right, let's do a 4th one. But no, Poirier won handedly twice.
Oh, yeah.
It's over.
No, it should be. But like I say, I don't doubt. I'm just trying to think if I'm playing devil's advocate with Dana.
Sure.
He likes to get Conor a big fight, even though I think Conor should just fight.
Dana would absolutely listen, no matter what we think. If both sides were like, yeah, you know what, I'd be all right with that, Dana would do it on a heartbeat.
Yeah, and it'd be box office, so I could see that fight happening. Even though I think with Conor, listen, just give him Nate Diaz and call it a day.
Yep.
Why are we even wasting time? Like I say, with Poirier, it's kind of wide open, too. I mean, he does have some options if he wants to fight. I don't know if he's going to exactly want to go for a belt at this stage in the career. I mean, he's got a lot of tread on the tires.
Yeah.
No shame in that, because the one thing is with Poirier's box office.
Uh-huh.
He is approaching that kind of level of, when you see his name on the card, you're going to get a fight.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what, he's always going to show up for it.
Oh, yeah.
So now you can kind of plug and play with whoever you want in that 155 division.
Sure.
If you wanted to do a specialty fight with somebody, you could do that. I don't think he's going to go up to 170. I don't want to see that happening.
No.
Would I see him drop to 145? Not at this stage. I know he used to fluctuate around there. He can basically call his shot. So if he wants another big money payout and call it a day, give him the Conor fight.
Yeah, why not?
Or give him Nate Diaz if you can't get that Conor fight going on for whatever reason.
Diaz would be good.
Nate's got one more left on that contract that's very well publicized.
Yeah, that's true.
So you know what? Might as well get it done and get it out of the way. And then Poirier beats him right off in the sunset with that paycheck. Nobody would shame you. Nobody would say anything.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Make it happen. Lot of headlines coming out of UFC 269, but we want to hear yours. So hit us up on the hashtag ODPHpod. What was your reactions to the results of UFC 269, and where do you think everybody goes moving forward? We want to know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sidemen Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna...
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. And Pat, let's talk some local minutes, shall we?
Yeah, got to talk some Binghamton Black Bears hockey. Looking at the standings, it took a bit of a slide. Black Bears are currently sitting in 5th place behind Carolina, Columbus, Danbury, and Watertown. Binghamton has a record of 7-7. Looking at their schedule from this past week, took a little bit of a hit, as I mentioned. Lost their game on Friday against Columbus by the final score of 7-5, and then lost their game again against Columbus on Saturday by this final score of 10-3. Looking at their schedule this coming week, they've got a game out of town in Delaware on Friday. Game time 7:30 p.m. However, this Saturday, December 18th, 7 o'clock Eastern, they are home taking on the Watertown Wolves. Again, game time 7 o'clock Eastern. More tickets, more information, tickets, and all that good stuff. BinghamtonBlackBears.com.
So let us get into the big base of the week, because it's been a little quiet week around the sports leagues right now.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to kind of drag it out and obviously, waste a little time, because there is a lot of pro wrestling to discuss. And obviously, if you heard 607 TWS this week, and you should, because we deep dive into everything pro wrestling on there, there is a big event going on this week that Pad is not exactly super psyched up about. But
Nope.
if you are an AEW faithful, you definitely are, because, it's time to talk some wrestling.
Wrestling.
So this Wednesday is AEW's... I'm trying to find the word to describe it, because it's not a pay-per-view.
It's an event.
It's an event, but this one has always had significant standing.
Sure.
And that is Winter is Coming, a la Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, I got to admit, there's a couple good matches and a couple ones I'm a little head-scratching about. It has been announced thus far.
Sure.
But this one is something, if you're an AEW fan, you've had circled on your calendar for a reason, and we'll get to that because we're going to break down the card.
Yeah.
So, Pat, let's get into it.
So the first match we're going to mention is taking place, like you said, this Wednesday. Show starts at 8 o'clock, is between Matt Sydal and Wardlow.
So I got to be honest. I'm not sure why this match is on the card.
Time filler.
It is, honestly, because Wardlow has not exactly been in any real big profile storylines.
Sure.
Obviously, being MJF's super muscle right now, I figured they would give a little more detail to his storyline. But if they want to give Wardlow some time, sure, Matt Sydal is a great dance partner for him. This one should be Wardlow all day. I'm not expecting this to take up a lot of time. In fact, like I said, for being such a big event, I'm actually very surprised this is on there instead of another match.
Sure.
Got to be honest about it. Next up, though, we do have one that I will say this is one of AEW's better storylines.
Okay.
A lot of people are not talking about it in the same way as Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa a little bit, which, I mean, that deserves all the storyline time it can get.
Oh, yeah.
But for the women's division, they have been putting together a great storyline with the following match.
Yeah, so this match is between Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida.
Yes, so they have been doing this back and forth storyline, a little one-upsmanship here, and this has been completely well done. Just Deeb is on her way to prove that she is the best wrestler in AEW, taking it away from Shida, collecting the big win landmark thing that they're doing now for most wins in AEW.
Yeah.
And this has just been some back and forth storyline. I mean, Deeb cost Shida her spot in the TBS tournament. So they have really done a great job with this. And both those women absolutely crush it in the ring. I hope they get a lot of time to work with, especially being such a high-profile match. Mm-hmm. So this one, I'm going to say Shida wins, but don't doubt Deeb pulling this off. And honestly, this could be a fight for everything for me.
Okay.
I think both ladies are coming in and definitely are crushing it, and I cannot wait to see how this all plays out. That's how stoked I am about this.
All right.
Next, though, is a little puzzling if you're not too familiar with AEW because they're doing the Dynamite Diamond finale.
Yeah, what the fuck is this?
Okay, so what they've been doing is MJF, the best heel in AEW.
Such a good heel, even his parents hate him.
Yes. Oh, they do such a good job with it, too. It's not even funny. They have been doing this angle like yearly where he puts this diamond ring, which is huge, as like, think of like brass knucks.
Yeah.
And he's been using this to win some matches, and
Okay.
he puts it on the line like once every year, and he's now like still defending it, and he wins it by nefarious means and all that jazz. And it's kind of like a funny gimmick storyline they have going on.
Yeah.
So this year,
brass ring, diamond ring, I get it.
Yeah, he's put it on the line again, and he's going to be facing Dante Martin. Now, Dante, you're not familiar with. I know this. He is a very big rising star in the company.
Okay.
Like, usually he's done tag team work, but they've been pushing him as a singles. He's been paired with Leo Rush a little bit, who's come in to be his, like, mentor / guide.
My man.
Yeah, it's been this kind of, like, weird setup they've had going on that Martin was going to be this big free agent, and then he signed for, like, a week with Team Taz.
Yeah.
And then during the Battle Royal, because how they determine who's going to fight for the Diamond Ring is they have a Battle Royal, last two people standing get the match.
Makes sense.
So it was MJF, and then it came down between Team Taz, and then he turned his back on Team Taz to be in the finals.
All right.
So now it kind of goes into question of, like, okay, who's going to win here?
Sure.
There is a couple different storylines going on right now. Obviously, one of the biggest ones in AEW is CM Punk versus MJF.
Yep.
I could see this coming into play a little bit where MJF gets screwed over for the Diamond Ring because CM Punk does something. Mm-hmm. But after the events of AEW Rampage, I feel that Dante Martin is going to be taken out by the one and only Hook. And thus MJF wins. And then you'll have the CM Punk run in after.
See, I think you're partially right. I think somebody from Team Taz is going to come in and shenanigans and try and prevent Dante from winning, but I also think Punk will come in before the ending, and you'll have, like, it won't be like bang bang, like right up next to each other. The moments you'll have one moment where Team Taz comes in, maybe we'll say like the beginning third of the match. Mm-hmm. Somebody from Team Taz, whether it's Hook or somebody else, comes out and screws Dante Martin over then, but hey, he perseveres. Being the face that he is, he can fight through anything. And then CM Punk's going to come out maybe like the latter third, of the match. I think you're going to see both guys in the match, though.
Oh, you'll definitely see him involved in, like I said, especially after the response that Hook got, which I want to reiterate. Listen, Hook had a great debut in his hometown. Let's not forget they were in Long Island when he came out.
Yep.
Action Bronson song kicks in. He comes down wearing the boxing ring shorts.
With the wrestling crowd coming out to Action Bronson, you're pandering.
Yeah, like he got a huge pop, and rightfully so. Like I said,
sure, it's hometown.
Yeah, get it.
I get it.
Came in the ring, turned his back to Fuego del Sol. He came in, did some judo stuff. He looked good. The internet reaction, though, I'm stressing this. Pump the brakes. Mm-hmm. The kid has got potential. Is he the game changer? Is he the fresh new wrestler that we've never seen before?
Maybe
to a degree, but you can't say certified yes. All in. Here's the chips in the middle of the table.
I mean, if a guy comes into the major leagues and hits his first at bat and hits a home run off of Garrett Cole, Clayton Kershaw, DeGrom, Scherzer, take your pick of the great starting pitchers, or even hell, Nolan Ryan back in his prime. Mm-hmm. That doesn't automatically make that person the next Hank Aaron, the next Babe Ruth, the next insert your favorite home run hitter of all time. It's a great story and it's a great start for him, but it's about how you finish. It's not about how you start.
Exactly. So I'd like to see him get a little more competition. Him against Dante Martin makes a lot of sense because as I put on Blogs Count Anywhere, the ODPHpodcast.com Parlay Points wrestling blog I do, I said this is now the prime time. If you want to consider doing an AEW cruiserweight division, you have the pieces there.
Sure, and it's a good for him because it's hard to get past a first reaction and a first exposure. You can go through the lineage of the wrestling history and bad first experiences and just how it's absolutely derailed that person's career. It's great for him to have a good first start and a good first exposure because with how the internet reacted. But you got to take it from there and run from it. It's great to have a start. You can get a 30-second start against Usain Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
Odds are you're probably still going to lose because, hey, it's Usain Bolt.
Right.
But you got a great head start on his career. Take it and run with it. Does he have the potential to be great? Sure. Who's to say otherwise? We haven't seen much of the kid. But you got to prove it first.
Exactly, because the question now becomes, okay, if he's really the next big thing, he's going to be your next world champion. How's he going to be doing all that judo stuff against Miro?
Yeah.
Lance Archer?
Yeah.
Wardlow?
Yeah.
Cesar Bonani, like some of your bigger wrestlers. I'm not saying he can't do it, but if you're talking about aesthetics and perception is reality, it's a tough challenge. This is what Darby Allin, I think, faces a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like trying to watch Jose Aldo go up against like Taco Fall in an NBA match. Like a little one-sided, and I can only believe it for so long.
Right, but it's not to say that he's not going to have a bright future. Like I say, he could definitely, but for everybody that was like saying, "Oh my God, it's over." WWE, messed up. Look at who we got now. Stop. Really, let's see a couple more matches. Him against Dante Martin should be fire. It should be real good.
Yeah.
But for everybody, wilding the hell out, calm down. Or in the words of Aaron Rodgers, relax.
RELAX.
Yeah, you're going to need to because, like I said, give the kid a chance. I don't want to see him flame out. I really want to see him do well here.
Yeah.
But then, what else do we have on that card, Pat?
So then your main event is for the AEW World Championship between Hangman Page taking on Bryan Danielson.
Okay, so Pat, do you know why this is significant?
This is, to my knowledge, and I could be entirely wrong because, hey, like I said, I don't watch AEW. This is Bryan Danielson's first championship match. Because I think his match previously with Kenny Omega when Omega was the champion wasn't for the belt. It was just a normal match.
You are right, but where I'm going with this is Hangman Adam Page's first real defense with the belt.
Uh-huh.
He is now in the primetime position. He is AEW's quote-unquote homegrown champion.
Yep.
Their fan base is very supportive of Adam Page, and rightfully so, because one thing that I've always said on the show, I've said on 607 TWS, you take a look at when they had that press conference in Jacksonville.
Oh, yeah.
Way back when.
Yeah.
Page was the big guy they brought in. That everybody's like, okay, he's signing with them, and we're going to see how this all shapes up. He is the AEW fan base. Like, he is their guy. If he comes in and he loses to Bryan Danielson, there is going to be a lot of question marks getting asked. Like, why are you not trusting your homegrown talent to run with the belt? Why are you turning this over to another WWE guy to run your belt? Like, this is the perception that's going to get asked.
Sure.
We have to be honest about this.
Sure.
What I feel is going to happen, I think they're going to do the right thing. I think we're going to have a long match, like maybe a 45-minute match.
I think you have to.
Well, you really have to give the time to really build this up, because what they did is, obviously, with situations going on with Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, you had to take some of your main event stars out of the picture.
Yep.
You had to really kind of force the storyline in. They've done a very good job with it. Bryan Danielson is a natural heel, which is I know is a shock to everybody. But when he's like, I got 5 ref, enough said. He's been tearing apart the Dark Order with Page's friends. They've done a solid build-up of this. Now is the time for the payoff. So I want to say AEW has done a very good job with this. I have to give them their due about this. But they have to make Page go over. This can't be a time limit draw. This can't be wacky shenanigans. This has to be a straight-up win clean. You can run it back later, but he has to win this match.
The good thing with this match for AEW fans is there won't be any egos involved. I got to look good, I got to look strong, because Danielson will do what is best for the company and best for business going forward.
Yeah.
So if he needs to take a pin clean in the middle of the ring, he will do it, and he will not put up a stink or fight, kick, and scream, oh, I don't want to do it. No. Okay, fine. He'll do what they ask him to do, and he'll do what he needs to. And he'll make, if Paige ends up coming out on top, he'll make Paige look like $1 million.
Yeah, and I fully think he's going to do it too, because Danielson has been on an absolute tear since he's wrestled in AEW.
Sure.
He's been having excellent matches.
Sure.
No matter who you put him up against, he has been on a tear. So this makes perfect sense to me. I think you're going to see Paige win. And then we can kind of speculate about who he's going to be facing next.
Well, and I think you definitely need to make Paige look strong and establish him, because the diehards, the day one AEW fans, the internet wrestling fans, they know who Paige is, but it's the casuals. It's the folks who only watch the programming, who only got exposed to these guys from finding AEW on television and watching those shows, that aren't necessarily familiar with who Paige is. This is a good opportunity to establish him with those folks.
Absolutely. So I think this is going to be a win. And obviously with winter is coming, the expectations are there, because last year, this is when Kenny Omega defeated Jon Moxley for the world title.
Yeah.
So there is some history about title changes happening here at this event. Like, something big is going to happen. That's why they really hype up the winter is coming. If memory serves me right, Sting also debuted here for AEW. So this is a very big moment for AEW. So I feel, though, with the short matches early, and I feel they're going to be very short, they're going to give a lot of time to the main event. I'm good with this. I just want a clean finish, and I want Paige to go over. Then we can reset for the road to Revolution.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Any other wrestling news you want to kind of cover quick?
I just got to mention, thoughts and well wishes to Jeff Hardy and the situation going on there. For those of you who aren't familiar or might not know, there was a house show last week, or a couple weeks ago now, actually, on December 4th, where he walked out of a mid-match, a tag team match. The following day, it was reported that he was sent home from the WWE Live Tour, and then on December 9th, he was released from his contract with WWE. It's being reported, been reported by, the Sean Ross Sapps and the Dave Meltzers and whatnot, that it, because there was speculation, because there was video from the event that led some people to believe some stuff. You can draw your own conclusions based off of the video. But it was reported that, Jeff was asked to check into rehab and to get some help, and it's been reported that he said no, and so WWE decided to release him. Just want to say, whatever's going on with Jeff, good, bad, or otherwise, wishing him well and wishing him a good recovery from whatever he's got going on.
Yeah, I'm with you, too, on that. I mean, obviously, he's had a very bad history with that, and I just hope he's getting the help he needs, and I'd like to see him back in the ring at some point, strong as ever, and, maybe, do that final push wherever he's going to be wrestling, whether it's going to be with AEW or elsewhere.
Yeah, and we did get a kind of an update from his brother, Matt. Matt took to his Twitch channel on Monday night and kind of addressed the elephant in the room, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. During the stream, he repeatedly said that, that he wasn't worried about Jeff, and, he said that WWE may have jumped the gun, in quotes, in releasing Jeff. He said, quote, before anyone rushes to judgment, obviously they drug tested him after all this stuff. Wait until you hear the results of that, and when that comes back clean, and then hopefully people will feel better about it, close quote. He also went on to say they felt like they were backed into a corner because of his history. Even though they may have jumped the gun with this a little bit, they made a decision, and it is what it is, close quote.
Yeah, so just our good thoughts and positive energy out to him.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for the best possible situation, and he's healthy in a good place. That's what I'm hoping for. That's the only thing that matters, and that's the only thing that should be the storyline here.
Yep.
So definitely have to see where he winds up next. So definitely hit us up on those hashtags, hashtag ODPH pod. If you want to talk some wrestling with me, AEW, you want to talk WWE with Pad, you want to talk anything else, 607 TWS, Blogs Count Anywhere, 607 Podcast is your place to go to talk some wrestling. We are here for you, and we definitely like to have that conversation. But let's close this show out the only way we can do during the football season. It is Locks and Leaps time, and the standings. Man, JT from the East Coast Avengers is hanging on. But not by much, though. He's got Padawan J right behind him. JT's got 59 points. Padawan has 55. Joey from So Wizard, 51. Rich from the Three Fat Nerds podcast has 48. Yours truly and Evan the Great have 47. Coach Duffy, 46. Even though he did jinx the Bills this week. I haven't forgotten about that. I'm not going to forget about that ever. Jay West from the We Get Dub podcast, 45 points. Brian Wayne, Cheers the Comics, 43. Mash, perfect week from Hops Geeks News. He had 43 points. He's now one up on Mac East for 42 points. And JVD from the Villains Man podcast, perfect week, 39 points. So, Pad, that being said, who you got for your locks and leaps this week?
So for my lock, this is low-hanging fruit, but I'm absolutely going to do it. You've got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Detroit Lions. Arizona's a 13.5-point favorite. Listen, the Lions are bad. I will give the Lions credit for what they did on Sunday facing the Denver Broncos in the on-field tribute the Broncos did for Demaryius Thomas, who unfortunately passed away last week. Taking the field with only 10 men, not snapping the ball, delay game, Detroit declined. I do give you credit for that, but I do not think you're going to win this game on Sunday. I think Arizona's going to be able to win that one handedly. And my leap, I was kind of struggling with it until I took notice of one game, and one game in particular, because I went, this doesn't seem right. This seems like low-hanging fruit. The Patriots are taking on the Colts on Saturday in Indianapolis. Currently, Indy is a 2.5-point favorite. Don't get me wrong, Indianapolis is a good team. New England's playing real hot these days, and they're coming off of a bye. Although, so is Indy, so, but I think New England is going to be able to pull off the upset in that one.
I'm with you on the leap.
Hey-o.
Mac Jones and Bill Belichick coming off a bye. They've had 2 weeks now to prepare for Jonathan Taylor.
Ball pressure be damned.
Carson Wentz is going to have a rough day.
Uh-huh.
So it's not to say...
I'm going to have red sleeves bearing down on you, Judon.
Yeah. I'm not saying I would not mind sacrificing 1 point if it means the Patriots lose for my Buffalo Bills, but I'm just saying. I think this is going to be Patriots all day.
Yep.
There is a couple of skeptical leaps in this week's
there are.
line. I'm not saying anything away for our competition, but I know this will be hot and heavy on the chat line after the show, but man, there's some that I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then obviously my lock, I'm sticking with my guns. I'm not running away. Bills Mafia, it's do or die. We need this game. Maserati, Josh Allen, whoever else is our third-string quarterback at this stage. Listen,
Hashtag get the tables.
Get the tables ready. 10.5 over Carolina. If we lose to Carolina, we shouldn't be in the playoffs. You heard it. I said it. I'm sticking to my guns about that. That all being said, the music you heard on this edition of the ODPH is that of Brian Wolf. He's a guy from Austin, Texas. He is doing some solo stuff. He's now back to doing some online streaming, some concerts.
Nice.
So if you want to find out more about Brian, where do you go, Pat?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Swing on over to the music section. Check out everything going on with Brian. Everything going on with Shout Out the Robots, who sent out a message to all the Patreons, letting them know what's going on. I'm not spoiling. You guys sign up for the Patreon and find out yourself. Check out everything going on with Second Suitor, which rumor has it, I guess I can break it on air, Tyler Reed will be joining 607 TWS in January.
Ooh.
For a very special episode recapping Wrestle Kingdom.
Nice.
So we're super excited to get Tyler back in studio for that. Also, you can check out everything on Tom Jolu. He's fantastic. You should just go buy everything he's selling because he does fantastic work. Yard Party, Floodlands, all the amazing musicians you hear on the ODPH podcast. Also, while you're at the website, swing on over to the directory where we have links to the ODPH on your favorite podcast provider. Pat, how many links do we have?
Like 9,002.
Yes, we've added a couple more. We are making sure that we are on your favorite podcast player. So if you're listening to the ODPH and you're like, wait, I don't know where you are, hit us up. Let us know. We will fix that problem for you ASAP. Also, swing on over to the classified section where you can find organizational links supporting Black Lives Matter, all the amazing pod groups we are in, and friends of the show. And I can't stress it enough. Go check them out for this holiday season. If you're looking for shopping ideas, go support local. Shop small, shop local. It definitely helps out more than you think. So you can find some great businesses to go support there. Also, great independent podcasts that are in the Inner Circle, The Apocalypse, 607 Podcasts, and 8122 Productions. Always doing big things. You want a gift for the holidays? Sign up for their Patreon. Patreon.com/8122 Productions.
Give the gift of diesel.
Yes, because the gift keeps on giving, and then some. All of that. The TeePublic store, where you want to talk gifts. The Pads Dealing shirts up there.
Yeah.
We got new designs up there. You want some swag to support your favorite podcast. Boom. It's right there. And chances are, TeePublic is running a lot of sales. You will get it for less this holiday season. How good is that? How good, Pat?
That's very good.
All that, so much more. ODPHpodcast.com. That's all I got for this week. So for the one and only Padawan
Fuck the Astros, and more importantly, mazel tov to Aaron Judge. Got married over the weekend.
Hey, congratulations, Aaron.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Ken M. Let's go, Buffalo. It's do or die time. Get the tables. Let's go. Thank you as always for listening to the ODPH podcast, better known as the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour. We'll see you next time.
Sometimes I lay awake at night, wondering what life would be like if you weren't taken before your time. The lessons you taught me, try to remember, try to engage. feels just like I'm staring at an empty page. I think about the years we had together. Your name will be written on my heart forever. Since I never really got to say goodbye, I'm gonna do my best now to try. I wish that I could call you, hear what you'd have to say. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the world